Hey guys, welcome. My name is Henrika. I am the whole brain coach. And today I would like to talk to you guys in case you've been vaccinated, maybe things have really eased up in terms of COVID restrictions where you are, and yet you're not going out, you're not socializing, and you're feeling really anxious as soon as you think about it. If that's you, let's talk. Let's find out what that is all about. All right. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Be, Think, Transform. And today's topic is really kind of came to me over the weekend for very personal reasons, because I experienced some really intense anxiety about something so small that would never have fazed me a year and a half ago. So what happened was that on Saturday, a friend called me who works in a local gym and said, "Hey, Henrika, I'm working on Sunday. Do you maybe want to come over at some point during the day? I can show you a few things. We can have a coffee after and a chat. My treat." And I immediately said yes. And then I went into panic mode. So this was on Saturday. We hadn't set a specific time for Sunday. And I was just going, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I'm not a gym goer. Even before the pandemic, I do my workouts at home. And I hadn't been to a gym for years. And the last time I spoke to my friend, he had told me that that was last summer, and they couldn't have their changing rooms open. People couldn't shower. There were certain restrictions in place then, which I had to check with him. Can I change there? Do I have to come in my workout clothes? And he said, no, everything's fine. Everything's open. You can shower. Everything's good. And still, this chest clenching anxiety wouldn't go away. I told another friend, and she sent on an article to me about something that I wanted to share with you, because there is a syndrome that really applied to me, and it's called cave syndrome. And so this is what happened. Scientists predicted that this would happen at the beginning of the pandemic, because humans are such social animals that these types of prolonged social isolation, which were the writings on the wall, would naturally have some detrimental effects on our mental health. And ta-da, here we are. So I think a recent study by don't let me lie, the American Psychological Association surveyed adults, and 49% of the adults that were asked said that they had some reservations about rejoining the social world, about going back to one-on-one in-person contacts. And so cave syndrome is, like you've seen, it can have this sort of weird, anxious form of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Am I safe? This is a new environment. So it felt very much like agoraphobia. Like it seemed to me like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, have I developed agoraphobia over the last few months? And cave syndrome is very similar, but it has a couple of differences to that. So cave syndrome is defined as one's struggle to go back to one's old social habits. And the key word here is habit. So do you remember how difficult it was at the beginning of the pandemic to stop doing things the way you were used to and start doing them according to the new restrictions? You do, right? It was horrible. And the reason for that is because the old ways were your habits and the new ways were not, because your brain is trying to make as much of what you do, of what you think, of how you act, how you move, a habit, because as soon as it becomes a habit, the whole process becomes really energy efficient for your brain. So just a quick kind of neuroscience side note. So the human brain takes up about 2% of our body mass, but it uses up 20% of all the energy that we consume. So it is really like it's a guzzler, right? So if the brain can save some energy by making something a habit, yes, that's a good thing. Okay. So you used to do things a certain way, then you had to change them for lockdown and for social isolation, and it was uncomfortable and difficult, and it made you anxious at the beginning, and then slowly, those new ways became your habits. And now you can change back. But the social isolation ways have become your habits. So again, it's going to be difficult to reroute those neural firings, those neural maps, okay? And there's another layer here of risk perception. So a lot of us may actually have a mild to a full-blown form of PTSD, depending on what your experience was with this horrible disease. Maybe you've lost somebody near and dear to you. Maybe you've had it yourself. Maybe you had it bad and you were hospitalized and you were on a ventilator. And those things, again, your brain will remember so much more clearly because your brain is 5 times more sensitive to negative stimuli than it is to positive ones. Your brain's fear center, the amygdala, is also involved in memory retention. So it holds on to these negative experiences so you will not have to repeat it. Yeah. So, ouch, I touched the stove. It was hot. I burned my hand. I will remember that, so I won't touch the stove again. Yeah. I went to the supermarket or somewhere else and got COVID. I'm never going to go back out again. Yeah. These are all totally normal human brain mechanisms to keep you safe. Yeah. So for some of us, it is really intense, but for others, this risk assessment takes a different form, and it is just saying, well, I'm kind of used to this way of living now. I'm actually quite comfortable. So I don't, better safe than sorry. I'd rather not go out just yet. And for you guys, I have to say, okay, I understand. I totally understand. I'm not saying, go out and snog a stranger. Yeah, this is not what I'm saying. But I am saying that prolonged social isolation has been shown both in animal and human studies to have really, really detrimental effects on your brain, and most specifically on your hippocampus. And your hippocampus is your learning and memory hub. And people who've been socially isolated for a long period of time, let's say scientists who are in Antarctica for over a year, they come back and they exhibit hippocampal shrinkage. This is also visible in people with Alzheimer's disease. But there's good news, because although we've all been in social isolation for quite some time and we may be experiencing some physical changes to our brains, we can reverse them. This is all plastic, all right? We can mold our brains for optimal performance. So, Henrike, how do I do this? How do I stimulate neural growth in my hippocampus? I'm glad you asked. All right. First things first, exercise. Yeah. Exercise is excellent to stimulate new neural cells, new brain cells, especially in the hippocampus. So this could be anything from walking, playing a sport, like tennis. This is great for, if to keep some distance to people. Tennis is a good one. You can go swimming. All of that is great stuff. Then you have another level up, and that is mind-body movement. So those are things like yoga or qigong, tai chi, where you're being very mindful about the way you move your body and you use breath a lot. So that is like exercise on steroids, for your entire brain. It's super great. And the next thing then, like we're going down in intensity, is meditation, mindfulness meditation. You can just listen to a guided meditation. You can do breath work, just monitoring your breath. All these things have been shown to also stimulate your brain cell growth in your prefrontal cortex, and that is responsible for helping you down-regulate your knee-jerk emotional responses. Because guess what? Another side effect of social isolation is a heightened sense of aggression, like you'll just become more aggressive. So if you can also stimulate your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, to keep a watch on those, really instinctual reactions to certain stimuli, and you say, hold on a second, is it really necessary to bite this person's head off? No, then you can take a deep breath, and that's going to be making everything so much easier. Yeah. The key thing with all of that, though, is to get back on the horse, because if it's a habit, it can only be changed by consistently changing your behavior, consistently changing your thinking about these perceived threats, for example. So how do you do that? How do you get back on the horse if you're so scared of going out there? So for me, it was just a case of taking a couple of deep, deep breaths and saying, Henrika, you are safe. Yeah. The gym is open with a really good concept. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten the permission to do so. Your friend is there, to ward off evildoers or something. I don't even know what I was afraid of, but to just acknowledge those sensations, to just say, okay, I feel that way. It's okay to feel that way, but you are safe. It's going to be fun. And if it's not, then you don't do it again, but try it this one time. Go out, have a coffee with your friend, have a pint in the pub, do it. Maybe go outside if you're too worried to go inside. Yeah. Slowly take some baby steps towards social connection. All right. Because as humans, we're social animals. We thrive on social connection. You cannot live as a perpetual hermit forever. All right. So this is it from me for today. My name is Henrika Schmidt. I am the whole brain coach, and I help my clients understand their brains and physiology better so they can use that knowledge to really get a lever on their behaviors and their thinking patterns and their way they react to certain things. So I will be back here next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central European Time, with another episode of Be, Think, Transform. Until then, tell me in the comments, do you have cave syndrome? Had you heard of cave syndrome before? Was this the first time that you've heard this term? And what are you going to do against it, about it? All right. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye.